Hi, I'm Heinbach. It's good to have you back. What I'm carrying here is the first piece of test equipment that I bought to make music with. It's the Rode and Schwarz RC generator, a vacuum tube sine generator that sounds so much more than a sine generator, because the more you up the gain, the richer the tone gets and you get lovely overtones. And now this rather unwieldy and extremely heavy unit is available as part of a virtual instrument that Sinan Bökesoy of SonicLab and me designed, and it's called Fundamental. Test equipment is always a good workout, but it's also pretty unwieldy to carry around with you. So when Sinan approached me and asked if I wanted to work with him on an oscillator, this was the first thing that came to mind, because I wanted to have this sound in my live rig. For those who have no idea what I'm talking about, let's wind back a little. About 1.5 years ago, I started on a journey to use test equipment, vintage equipment, to make music. This was triggered by my long love for early electronic music. Before they had synthesizers, they used communications equipment, filters for radio, oscillators that were meant to test signal lines, be it Stockhausen or Delia Derbyshire. Before the synthesizer came about, test equipment was what was used to make electronic music. And second, it was triggered by Dennis Verschoor of the Waveform Research Center posting a bias guide, which seemed to make the entry in this crazy world of huge racks, of walls, of heavy but often very cheap equipment feasible for me to dive into that. If you followed my channel, you might have seen it grow, and it's been such a fun journey. So now to be able to present to you something, a little part of this in a special instrument means a lot to me. So let's have a look at Fundamental. When you open up Fundamental, you're greeted by this nice big dial. All these little arms show you the frequencies that you set here for each of the 8 voices of Fundamental. And if you want to hear them, you need to set the trigger to play. And we'll go into more detail on the envelope section a bit later. And then you up the gain. As you can hear, there's a tonal change when I up the gain. This is because we modeled the output stage of the oscillator. So it means it's a VCA with added overdrive, so you get more overtones. If that is too much for you, you can switch from the vintage model to the pure model, which will generate mathematical signs. While these sound also nice, I love the vintage model. I recorded a large amount of takes on the RC generator, taking care to capture all its sonic specialities, and that sets it apart from any previous model of test equipment. This really captures that raw sound, and Sinan had to get pretty inventive to incorporate that in this instrument. He used machine learning, and for each voice there are 4 wavetable oscillators active that interpolate There's two ways to play fundamental. Right now we're in the user set layout. This means each of these frequencies can be adjusted individually. But I like to be surprised, so what I often use is the harmonic setup, which means now only the fundamental frequency can be set and the other frequencies are related to it via the ratio. You can easily create beautiful clusters of overtones and undertones with this. This mode feels to me like diving deep into sound and exploring what makes sound happen. What I then like to do is use the quantization features, because we've got scala import, which means I can load a pentatonic scale. With that I can turn inharmonic relationships to harmonic relationships. Now there is a lot of stuff moving around here that I haven't talked about, and that is the SonicLab's typical modulation section, and I can't explain it better than hardcore maths come to life in sound. We can modulate the gain, the frequency and the panning of the oscillators, as well as the harmonic relationship. And modulating the harmonic relationship, oh, there's beauty there. Easy to create drifting soundscapes that are endless. But if you're wearing headphones, you might want to modulate the panning too. So this is the modulation section for the panning of each voice. We can also set fixed pan points and then have it modulate around them. Which creates an ultra-wide field of sound. Let's give it some amplitude modulation. Slower. I love slow modulations. Now we can apply the pentatonic scale to all of this. And it becomes an ambient dreamscape. So we get modulation for gain, frequency, and pan. And this is all controlled via this wondrous section, which you'll have to experience yourself. Now this sounds already quite interesting, but it doesn't leave much space for silence. And silence is something I find absolutely necessary to make good music. So that's why we've got an envelope section here, which allows us to modulate the faders here. Now I'm hitting trigger. This is just the gate function, but we can set it to play once. Or we can set it to loop. And we can change the shape. And logarithmic mode. And if we introduce a random to each of these envelopes, they will start playing on their own. I love setting up something like this and then just letting it play for hours upon hours in the background. It's rather relaxing. Up here we've got the preset management. You can import a bank. I'm gonna import my Heinbach variations. And one thing that is nice, because this preset has a 6-second envelope, if I go to a preset with a shorter envelope time, it will start playing catch up. So this enables some kind of preset morphing, which I find fascinating. And if you have got a preset that you like, you can enter your name here, press S, and then click where you want to save it. To make instrumental a truly live instrument, we included MPE, MIDI Polyphonic Expression. So you can really play this with your fingertips, and that's something that I absolutely wanted for this. I'm using the Buchla Thunder Overlay for Sensor. Berlin-based musician Blush Response also made some presets that really push fundamental further. We did not want fundamental to be only a drum machine. I find that it mixes beautiful with acoustic instruments, such as the piano, because it doesn't have such a synthesizer sound. It will blend nicely with other VSTs, such as in this track, where I'm using only plugins by Felt Instruments. Of course, it shines when it's brought back with its test equipment, brothers and sisters. As you might have gathered from these examples, there is no single use case for fundamental. There are many ways in which you can play it, and that's something that's so beautiful to me, because test equipment, as much as I love the sound, it has a certain aesthetic and a certain playing style, because there's not much modulation involved, and I really like that. But fundamental takes it further and lets you basically decide where you want to take it. Do you want to stay in that minimal drone space, or do you want to move it somewhere else? Do you want to move it into completely different contexts? And that, to me, makes it a true instrument. You can buy fundamental now for 49 euros introductory price, and that will go up to 69 once that period is over. And if you're a student, you can get it for 39 euro always. You do require an iLog license, which is free, and there are free demos available, so you can check it out if it works with your workflow. And I personally hope that this is a success, because then we can keep on developing beautiful plugins based on this and even going further. For example, I picked up this fantastic pulse generator from HP just 2 weeks ago, and oh yeah, this sounds gorgeous. Vacuum tubes, same year, so just to have this as an instrument would be lovely. So yeah, check out Fundamental, and if you like it, buy it, and yeah, help us keep on making more of these. And I'm really happy about the whole collaboration. And yeah, thank you, Sinan, for asking me to collaborate with you on this. This has been such an adventure, and it is an important step, I feel, for me as an artist, to go from someone who uses a lot of instruments to someone who helps design instruments. Yeah, that just feels somehow very special to me. And I want to give a special thanks to everyone who supports me on Patreon, because through your support there, this gave me the time to develop this in the past 6 months. I'll be putting up music from this episode on the Patreon. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments or visit the subreddit. And if you get technical questions, such as installing all this stuff, don't ask me. Go to the SonicLab website, ask Sinan. Sinan will also be putting up a lot more in-depth tutorial videos and overviews and all that stuff, and he made a great manual, so Sinan is the person to ask if you run into technical issues with this. That's it for this video. Check out the plugin, check out the free demo, and yeah, if this works out, we're gonna be doing an iOS version, which should be, I don't know, maybe late summer, early autumn, hopefully. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.